Some shadows are just shadows. Others hold secrets that were never meant to be found. Welcome to Shadowpit Mysteries, where every silence hides a warning and every clue takes you closer to the darkness. The stories you'll hear aren't just tales. They're invitations to step into the unknown. The truth is waiting, but the shadows, they're waiting too. Let's begin.
Whispers Beneath the Floorboards, a mystery story by Grave Pit Shadows. Shadowpit Mysteries presents Whispers Beneath the Floorboards. Beneath Room 6, heavy ocean waves crashing, wind howling across cliffs, seagulls shrieking faintly. There's a sound that old buildings make, a long aching groan, like the bones of the past shifting, trying to remember what they once held. The Cliffside Inn in Fogmoor, Maine, once a cozy retreat by the sea, now sat hollow, a skeleton of wood and salt and silence. But today that silence cracked. Hammering, a sudden bang, creaking wood. Worker number 1 grunting, "Hey, what the hell? There's something under this floorboard." Worker number 2, a trapdoor. Seriously? This wasn't on the plans. Crowbar wrenching wood, nails snapping. Room 6 had been boarded up for years. No one used it. Locals said it gave them bad dreams just passing by the door. But beneath that floor they found a space not listed on any blueprint. And in that space was something waiting. Door creaks open slowly. Then, silence. A deep, unnatural silence. Worker number 1 softly, "Oh my God." Faint flies buzzing, chains faintly rattling. The skeleton was curled in on itself, hands still bound in rusted cuffs, nailed deep into the earth below. But the horror wasn't just the body. It was the leather journal resting beside it. Dry, dusty, but somehow still warm. Pages turning, wind whistling softly. Worker number 2 reading confused. Day 204. The floor speaks again. It knows my name. It knows yours too. Wind fades, faint whisper beneath the silence, like breath in your ear. That entry was dated February 2nd, but the body, it had been dead for decades, and so something long buried had begun to whisper again. Ominous closing music creeps in. Shadowpit Mysteries presents Whispers Beneath the Floorboards. Next time, Act 2, Fogmoor. Whisper almost inaudible, "She's coming." Rain pattering softly on a windshield. Wipers swiping. A distant foghorn echoes over the sea. The road into Fogmoor is a narrow one. Twists through pine forests that seem older than the town itself. Branches like fingers. Roots like bones. Detective Mara Quill had been driving for hours. Transferred from Boston after a case went bad. She hadn't spoken much since. Car engine idling. Wipers slow. A gravel crunch as she pulls over. Fogmoor, Maine. A coastal town too small for crime. Too quiet to be innocent. But today, it had something it hadn't seen in years. A body, buried beneath a room that no one was supposed to enter. Car door opens. Wind and sea louder now. Mara's boots crunch gravel. Mara Quill, tired, steady. Room 6, Cliffside Inn. Paper flipping. Skeleton, shackled, leather journal. She pauses. Last entry dated February 2nd. She said it aloud to keep herself grounded, because none of it made sense. And because part of her already knew this place would try to unmake her. Heavy wooden door creaking open. Distant gulls and ocean outside. The inn groans softly. The Cliffside Inn stood like a forgotten lighthouse. Weather-worn, salt-bitten. It should have been condemned, but it was alive with whispers. Footsteps on old wood. Faint whisper, unintelligible. Mara to herself. Structural shot. Smells like mold and smoke. Place shouldn't be standing. She stops walking. It feels colder here. She found room 6 already sealed in crime scene tape, and across from it, waiting at the end of the hall, stood a woman dressed in black, as if she'd never stopped mourning. Quiet footsteps approaching. Eloise Harrow, soft, raspy. You shouldn't have opened it. Mara. Ms. Harrow, I presume. You own this place? Eloise. I inherited it. That's different than owning. You don't own things like this. They keep you. Eloise Harrow's eyes were pale, almost silver. She spoke in riddles and pauses, as if listening to something Mara couldn't hear. Mara firm. I'm here about the skeleton and the journal. Eloise coldly. There was no journal, not in room 6. But Mara had it, in her bag, wrapped in a towel, still warm, still whispering when the world went quiet. Distant church bell tolling, once, then again. Mara asked the usual questions, got the usual lies. But before she turned to leave, Eloise said one thing that stuck. Eloise, soft with dread. He was trying to stop it, you know. My brother, Isaiah. He thought if he wrote it down, it would stay inside the pages. Mara froze. She had never mentioned a name. And the journal, which had been silent for hours, began to hum in her bag. Low hum, barely audible whisper, Mara. Narrator. Fogmoor had secrets, and room 6 was only the beginning. Tense, dark, ambient music swells. Shadowpit Mysteries presents Whispers Beneath the Floorboards. Next time, Act 3. The Journal. Wind howling through a keyhole, like a sigh from the earth itself. Faint storm rolling in. Rain tapping softly on a window. Fireplace crackling nearby. There's something about old journals. The texture of the paper, the curl of the ink. They feel like time, frozen in a scream you haven't heard yet. Detective Mara Quill sat alone in her motel room. Dim lamplight, coffee gone cold, and the journal resting on the table like it had chosen her. Leather creaks as the book opens. Pages shuffle. A distant whisper flits across the background. The first few pages were neat, tidy loops of writing. Calm, confident. It read like a guest chronicling a long stay. Mara, reading. Day 1. The inn is quiet. Room 6 smells like old wood and salt. Peaceful. But then the shift. Barely a dozen pages in, the handwriting changed. Uneven, slanted, letters pressed too hard. Mara, reading slower. Day 14. I heard it again. The sound beneath the floor. It knows when I'm alone. Low tapping under the floor. 3 soft knocks. The entries grew frantic. Disjointed thoughts. Ramblings. Sketches of symbols, repeated over and over. And then, Mara whispering. Day 39. It speaks in my voice now. Silence. Then a faint echo. Mara's voice slightly off. Let me out. Mara slammed the journal shut. Book slams. Lamp flickers. The lights in her room dimmed. A single bulb buzzed and flared overhead. And for a moment, only a breath, she thought she saw something in the mirror. Not her reflection. Not exactly. But herself, smiling. Mara, steady but shaken. This is a psychological case. Old trauma. Delusions. That's it. She takes a breath. Mara. Just paper and ink. She opens the journal again. Pages flipping faster this time. She flipped to the last written page. The ink was darker, fresher, and at the bottom, in the same slanted handwriting, Mara reading. February 2nd. She's come back. She's reading this now. She has the same eyes. Narrator. Mara's heart pounded. She reached for the page, but the ink began to run, bleeding, smearing, melting across the page. And underneath, a new line began to form. Not in ink, but carved. Sharp scraping, like a knife dragging across paper. Just 3 words. Burn the book. A low, pulsing, ambient tone rises. Some stories want to be told. Others claw their way into the world, and Mara Quill had just opened the wrong one. Shadowpit Mysteries presents Whispers Beneath the Floorboards. Next time, Act 4, Eloise's Silence. A page turns by itself, and a voice, Too soft to name whispers. We remember. Gentle rain outside. Clock ticking slowly. A teacup sets down on porcelain. Some silences feel empty, peaceful, but others throb, like a pulse just beneath the skin of the world. The cliffside inn was full of the second kind, and Eloise Harrow was no different. Fire crackles, old house creaking. Detective Mara Quill sat across from the aging innkeeper in a dim parlor room. Paint peeled from the ceiling like shedding skin. The walls smelled of mildew, and something sweet underneath. Decay dressed in perfume. Mara firm. I need to know about your brother, Miss Harrow. Isaiah, the journal mentions him. Eloise, softly. There was no journal. Mara. I read his words, I heard his voice. Eloise, sharper now. You think you heard it? This place, it plays tricks. You shouldn't read things that belong to the dead. Long silence. A faint hum, almost like wind through hollow wood. Eloise stared out the window, fog pressed against the glass like breath on skin. Eloise, distant. He was 15 when he started saying things. Hearing things. He said the floorboards whispered at night. Said the ocean was talking through the inn. Mara, quietly. And what did you do? Eloise, flatly. What we were told. We prayed. We waited. Then Father locked him in the root cellar. Deep creaking, distant wind moaning. Mara felt a chill, not from the storm outside, but from the stillness in Eloise's voice. Eloise, almost whispering. Isaiah kept a journal back then too. He said if he wrote it all down, it wouldn't spread. Said the floor wanted to keep growing, feeding on stories, so he gave it his. Mara. And then? Eloise, staring, unblinking. One night, the whispering stopped. We thought it was over, but it was just waiting, biting. Mara looked down at her bag, where the journal now lay, closed, but not silent. A soft, rhythmic tapping from inside the bag. 3 slow knocks. Eloise leaned forward, eyes like storm clouds. Eloise, if the journal has started again, then Isaiah isn't done. Mara, Isaiah is dead. Eloise, with chilling calm. Is he? Low, eerie strings begin to rise, subtle and pulsing. Outside, the rain thickened. Inside, the silence deepened, and Mara Quill began to understand. This wasn't just a case. This was an inheritance. Shadowpit Mysteries presents Whispers Beneath the Floorboards. Next time, Act 5, The Town That Forgets. One last knock from the bag, and beneath it, a whisper. Come downstairs. Morning wind blows through trees. Distant gulls. A small town ambiance. Quiet. Restrained. Every town has stories it doesn't tell out loud. Fogmoor had entire chapters missing, like someone had ripped them out, page by page, and buried them beneath the cliffs. Detective Mara Quill spent the morning combing through archives, public records, police reports. But in Fogmoor, history had holes. Library ambience, pages flipping, distant clock ticking. No mention of Isaiah Harrow after 1978. No reports of missing persons from room 6. Just one note, a yellowing article titled, Local Inn Shuttered Following Strange Incidents. No details, just a name at the bottom. Mara, reading aloud, article by Harold Linney, retired chief of police. Soft click as she shuts the file folder. She found Linney sitting outside a bait shop. Mid-70s, heavy coat, skin like driftwood. He was sipping black coffee and staring out to sea like it still owed him something. Harold Linney, gruff. You're not going to solve anything by asking about room 6. Mara, calm but insistent. Then tell me what I should be asking about. Harold, pause then. Ask why we stopped writing things down. Ask why the town paper never ran obituaries after 1982. Ask why the Cliffside Inn still gets deliveries, even though no one's checked in for decades. Wind kicks up, waves crashing louder. Mara, people went missing, didn't they? Harold quietly, more than a dozen, over the years. Never in the same way. but always the same room. Room 6 doesn't take the same story twice. Mara pulled out the journal. She didn't hand it to him, just showed the edge of it. Mara, it's writing back. Harold freezes, and you've already stayed too long. A ship bell rings somewhere far offshore. Wind dies suddenly. Mara watched Linny pack up his coffee and walk away. No goodbye, no warning. But his final words hung in the air like salt in her lungs. Harold echoing, some stories don't want to be solved. They want to continue.
A deep rhythmic pulse starts, like a heartbeat made of fog and fear.
Back at the inn, room 6 remained locked, but Mara's bag felt heavier, the journal humming like a thing alive. Shadowpit Mysteries presents Whispers Beneath the Floorboards. Next time, Act 6, Voices in the Vent. Whispers, faint but clearer now. She's close, she's listening. Nightfall, a storm outside. Rain lashes the windows. The inn creaks. At night, the cliffside inn sounded like it was breathing, shifting in its bones, sighing through its vents. Detective Mara Quill sat alone in the hall outside room 6. She couldn't sleep. The journal was quiet, but the walls weren't. Soft rustling of air like wind through pipes. Then, faint whispers. Indistinct at first. At first it sounded like static. Then murmurs. Then her name. Whisper, almost inaudible. Mara. Mara, softly. No, not tonight. She gets up. Footsteps across creaking floorboards. A vent rattles slightly. She crouched beside the vent in the hallway, rusted, crooked, placed her ear to the metal, and heard something, moving. Whisper, clearer now. She's listening. Mara snaps. What do you want from me? Whisper, urgent, layered. To finish it, to finish it, to finish it. A loud clang from the vent like something slammed against it. Mara stumbled back, heart hammering. But when she looked down the hall, room 6's door was open. She had locked it. She knew she had. Narrator tense. Inside the lights were off, but on the bed lay the journal, open. Its pages turned slowly, not from the wind. Pages flipping, then stopping. A new entry. The ink still wet. Mara reading aloud. Stop asking, stop looking. They hear through the vents. They live between the walls. They remember her voice. She freezes. Who's her? Narrator. The journal didn't answer, but the walls did. Whisper, soft, feminine. Mara. Cue slow, rising, dissonant hum. Unnatural, discordant. Shadowpit Mysteries presents Whispers Beneath the Floorboards. Next time, Act 7, The Priest's Warning. Early morning fog. Church bell tolling in the distance. Slow footsteps on gravel. Fogmoor had one church. Empty pews. Dust in the holy water. And a man who had once worn the collar, but no longer believed in salvation. Door creaks open. Bell jingles. His name was Jacob Lorne. Ex-priest. Now caretaker of the chapel. He hadn't performed a sermon in 10 years. But when Mara Quill asked for him, he was already waiting. Jacob Lorne, quiet, hoarse. You've seen it, haven't you? The book, the room, the eyes behind the walls. Mara, you were there when Isaiah Harrow went missing. Jacob nods slowly. He didn't go missing. He was offered. Mara, to who? Jacob gravely. Not who. What? The house beneath the house. The thing that listens. Crows outside. Wind stirs. The chapel door creaks. He handed her a page, torn, yellowed. A charcoal sketch. The same symbol from the journal, carved again and again. A spiral within a spiral. A mouth in a floorboard. Jacob. That symbol wasn't meant to trap a demon. It was meant to trap a story. One that won't stop being told. Mara, uneasy. You're saying this place is haunted by a narrative? Jacob. I'm saying the inn has memory, and you're inside it now. Before she could ask more, he turned his back. Jacob, without facing her. Leave now. Burn the book. Forget your name if you have to. But as Mara stepped into the fog, the journal grew warm in her coat pocket, pulsing like a heart that wasn't hers. Low, slow-building tension cue, strings and deep ambiance. She had come here to solve a murder. But now, Mara Quill was solving herself, and the story was far from finished. Shadowpit Mysteries presents Whispers Beneath the Floorboards. To be continued. Final whisper, clear, close, and childlike. Mara, come back down. Another story has ended, but the darkness still calls. Did you uncover the truth? Or did it uncover you? Shadowpit Mysteries will return with more tales to keep you questioning, and more shadows to keep you looking over your shoulder. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, so you never miss the next chapter. Until then, stay vigilant. The next mystery might already be waiting for you.